All right, let's dive into becoming supernatural. We're exploring Dr. Joe Dispenza's ideas from this YouTube video transcript and some text excerpts. I'm really fascinated by how he combines science and personal growth to make these, well, pretty bold claims.
Yeah, Dispenza's argument is that we can actually influence our biology and reality through thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
And he uses a whole bunch of different scientific fields to back this up.
Okay, so let's start with this idea of the science of transformation. He pulls from neuroscience and brain plasticity, right? But what's Dispenza actually saying here?
Well, he's saying that because our brains are constantly adapting, we can rewire our thinking, creating new neural pathways and all that. Basically, we can use this understanding of brain plasticity to go beyond just thinking differently and actually change our external reality.
So it's more than just positive thinking. He's saying we can actually change the world around us just by changing our minds.
Exactly. And he brings in epigenetics too, which is, the study of how genes express themselves. He argues that while our genes provide a blueprint, our environment and lifestyle choices, including our thoughts and emotions, really impact how those genes are expressed.
That's a pretty big claim. I mean, I've read about the power of the mind before, but this is something else. What kind of evidence does he use to support this?
He uses a lot of anecdotal evidence, stories of people who've made remarkable changes in their lives just by shifting their mindset, and through practices like meditation. For example, he talks about this woman named Anna who healed herself from paralysis, cancer, and a whole bunch of other health issues.
Okay, but are those cases just flukes? I'm curious about the scientific evidence for these claims. Does he cite any studies or research, or is it all just anecdotal?
He does refer to research in neuroscience, epigenetics, even quantum physics. But yeah, most of his evidence seems to come from these personal stories of transformation. He uses them to show the potential he believes we all have.
That makes sense, but I'm still a little skeptical. He even brings in quantum physics. What's his argument there?
He suggests that when we change our internal state, our thoughts and emotions, we can actually influence the energy and the information in the field around us, potentially impacting our external reality. He connects this to the idea of a unified field from quantum physics, suggesting that we can tap into a realm of pure potential when we shift our consciousness.
So he's saying we can tap into this unified field and actually change reality. This is where it starts to feel a little out there for me. How does he suggest we actually do that?
He puts a lot of emphasis on the present moment, arguing that dwelling in the past just keeps us stuck in those old patterns. He believes that only by being fully present can we break free from those limitations and create new possibilities.
Okay, I get how letting go of the past could be helpful, but how do we actually become more present?
Dispenza sees meditation as like the main tool for achieving this state of presence and for accessing that unified field. He offers specific techniques, but the core principle is to quiet the mind and connect with a deeper level of awareness.
I've tried meditation before, but I've always struggled to quiet my mind. Does he talk about this at all?
He talks about the importance of practice and patience. He says our minds are like muscles that need to be trained. The more we meditate, the easier it becomes to quiet those racing thoughts.
That makes sense. But he also describes these really intense experiences people have during meditation, like transcending the physical world and existing as pure consciousness. Is that something everyone can achieve, or is it only for, like, advanced meditators?
He suggests that those kinds of mystical experiences are possible for anyone, as long as they're willing to put in the time and effort to cultivate a deep meditative practice.
Wow, that's pretty incredible to think about. So we've talked about the science behind transformation, the importance of being present, and the power of meditation. What else does Dispenza emphasize?
He talks a lot about the importance of heart coherence, which is like the harmonious alignment of the heart and brain. He suggests that achieving heart coherence can improve health, emotional well-being, and even intuition.
I've heard about the heart-brain connection before. How does Dispenza explain this concept?
He emphasizes cultivating positive emotions like love, gratitude, and joy. He says it's not about suppressing negative emotions, but intentionally choosing feelings that elevate our energy. He also describes the heart as an amplifier, influencing the brain to create more synchronized brainwave patterns.
So by focusing on positive emotions, we can actually change the way our brains function.
That's really interesting. Does he connect this heart-mind connection to the body's energy systems at all?
Yes. Dispenza suggests that we have energy centers throughout our body, beyond the traditional chakras, each with its own mind. He believes stress depletes these centers, potentially leading to disease, while meditation and positive emotions recharge them. promoting healing and balance. Okay, so it's not just about our thoughts and emotions, but also about the energy flowing through our bodies. I'm curious to learn more about these energy centers. What specifically does Dispenza say about them?
He goes beyond the traditional 7 chakras and describes additional energy centers throughout the body, each associated with specific organs and functions. He believes these centers are influenced by our thoughts, emotions, and our overall energy state. He even compares them to the nervous system of an electric eel, suggesting that heightened energy in these centers can create profound shifts in our physical and energetic state.
That's a pretty vivid analogy. I'm starting to see how Dispenza weaves together these different concepts, neuroscience, energy, even quantum physics, to explain how we might become supernatural. But it's a lot to take in. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway so far?
I think what's fascinating to me is how Dispenza bridges the gap between science and spirituality. He takes these ancient concepts of energy and consciousness and tries to ground them in modern scientific understanding.
That's a great point, and he uses those intriguing real-life stories to illustrate his points. It's definitely making me think about the power of our thoughts and emotions in a new way. We're starting to see how Dispenza builds his argument for becoming supernatural, but it still feels a bit abstract. How does he suggest we actually apply these concepts? Like, how do we create tangible changes in our lives?
Well, one of the key techniques he talks about is something called mind movies. It involves creating these vivid mental visualizations of what you want to achieve and infusing those visualizations with positive emotions. The idea is that by repeatedly doing this, we can imprint those outcomes on our subconscious and actually influence our actions and attract those realities into our lives.
That kind of sounds like the law of attraction, which I've always been a little iffy about. But Dispenza is grounding this in neuroscience and rewiring our brains, right?
Right, he's not just saying, think positive and good things will happen. He's explaining how, by repeatedly visualizing and feeling those desired outcomes, we can change our brain's neural pathways and actually influence our behavior and our choices in a way that lines up with those goals.
Okay, I can see how that might be more effective than just wishful thinking. And he mentioned some pretty incredible stories of people using mind movies, right? Like Natalie and Glenn successfully launching their business.
Yeah, and those stories are definitely compelling. But I'm wondering what specific guidance he gives for creating these mind movies. Does he go into detail about the process?
He does, and he also emphasizes the importance of not just visualizing the outcome, but really feeling what it would be like to achieve that outcome. He even talks about going beyond just visualization and engaging all your senses in the mind movie.
That makes sense. It's like creating a full-on sensory experience in our minds to really imprint those desired realities. Does he talk about how this connects to the energy centers in our bodies?
Yeah, he does. Remember how he said those centers have a mind of their own? He suggests that by directing energy and awareness to specific centers during meditation, we can boost our ability to manifest what we want. It's like we're giving the mind movie a power-up by intentionally activating those energy centers.
That's interesting. So it's not just a mental practice. It involves the physical and energetic aspects of ourselves too. But I'm still a bit stuck on this idea of us influencing reality through our thoughts and emotions. How far does Dispenza take this? Does he set any limits on what we can achieve?
That's where things get really interesting. He doesn't shy away from exploring the possibility of developing what he calls supernatural abilities. In fact, he specifically focuses on the pineal gland, often referred to as the third eye, believing it acts as a gateway to higher dimensions.
I marked this section in my notes too. It was pretty mind-bending. Didn't he suggest that we could potentially use the pineal gland to access information and energy that's beyond our normal perception?
Yeah, he did. And what I found fascinating was how he connects the pineal gland to ancient symbolism, and even the Fibonacci sequence, hinting at deeper connections between science and spirituality. It's like those ancient mystics were tapping into something that science is only now beginning to understand.
That's a theme throughout his work, blending ancient wisdom traditions with modern scientific understanding. But the pineal gland and its potential role in supernatural abilities, that's something else.
For sure. It's like he's suggesting the pineal gland could be the key to unlocking our full potential, not just in terms of personal growth, but in terms of accessing these expanded states of awareness, and maybe even influencing reality in ways we can barely imagine.
It's a lot to process. And while some of these ideas might seem a little far-fetched, I'm finding myself really intrigued by the possibilities he presents. It makes you think about the true nature of consciousness and the potential that might be hidden within each of us.
Me too. It definitely challenges our conventional understanding of reality. But I'm also curious about the practical side of things. How does he suggest we activate the pineal gland and access these supernatural abilities? Does he provide any specific techniques?
He emphasizes meditation and specifically mentions a breathing technique that can help shift energy from the body back to the brain. It's like freeing yourself from the energetic pull of the past and creating a more receptive state for accessing higher levels of awareness.
Right, and he links this breathing practice to changes in brainwave activity, suggesting it can help us shift into those relaxed alpha brainwave states that are often associated with meditation and heightened creativity.
He even connects it to the concept of freeing our energy from past experiences. It's like by shifting that energy back to the brain, we're letting go of those old patterns and making space for new possibilities. Oh, and I remember he had this fascinating analogy to explain this.
The electric eel.
Yes. He suggests that heightened energy in the nervous system, which we can cultivate through practices like meditation and this specific breathing technique, can create profound shifts in our physical and energetic state. It's like we're tapping into this inner power source that can fuel our transformation.
Exactly. And he's clear that this breathing technique isn't just about taking in oxygen, it's about consciously directing energy and influencing our state of being. He even suggests that it can help us move beyond the limitations of our physical senses and access a realm of energy and information that exists beyond our normal perception.
Wow. So it's like we're using our breath to hack into our nervous system and expand our consciousness. It's starting to sound like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, does he offer any evidence to support these claims about the pineal gland and its role in these supernatural experiences?
He connects it to ancient wisdom traditions and symbolism, suggesting that the pineal gland has been recognized for centuries as a gateway to higher consciousness, but he doesn't really provide much scientific evidence to support those claims.
That's true. It seems like this is where he moves more into the realm of speculation and personal experience. But he does make a compelling argument for the interconnectedness of consciousness, right? He suggests that our individual energy fields interact with the collective field, influencing not only our own reality, but also the reality around us.
Yes, and he even touches on the concept of peace-gathering projects, where large groups of people meditate together with the intention of creating peace and harmony in the world.
Didn't he mention studies suggesting that these collective meditations have actually correlated with a decrease in violence and conflict in some cases?
He did, and he uses those examples to illustrate the potential for our collective consciousness to actually influence the world. It's like he's saying that by cultivating peace and coherence within ourselves, we contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world.
That's a powerful idea. But it also raises the question of responsibility, right? If we really can influence reality with our thoughts and emotions, as Dispenza suggests, then what are the ethical implications of that?
That's a great question, and one that Dispenza acknowledges. He emphasizes that true transformation is not just about personal gain, but about cultivating love, compassion, and a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. He stresses the importance of aligning our intentions with the greater good and using our power wisely.
That makes sense. He's not advocating for using these techniques to manipulate reality for selfish purposes. It's about personal growth and evolving our consciousness in a way that benefits everyone.
Exactly, and he brings the heart back into it, suggesting that is crucial in this process. He even dives into the science of heart coherence, suggesting that the heart's electromagnetic field is way more powerful than the brain's, and that cultivating a state of heart coherence can literally influence the world around us.
I love that he keeps coming back to the heart. It adds such an important dimension to this whole concept of becoming supernatural. It's not just about mind power, but also about cultivating love and compassion. He shares a fascinating story about Ginny, a woman who was suffering from debilitating pain and was able to completely heal through a powerful meditation experience where she tapped into a state of heart coherence and connected to the unified field.
That's incredible. It really shows the profound healing power that we can access when we align our hearts and minds. It also makes me think about the potential of our collective heart energy to create positive change in the world.
Absolutely. Dispenza doesn't just talk about heart coherence on an individual level. He explores its potential on a global scale, suggesting that cultivating heart coherence collectively could create a ripple effect of peace and harmony throughout the entire world.
Okay, I gotta admit, I'm getting chills here. This is really powerful stuff. It's like he's painting a picture of a world where we're not just surviving, but thriving, where we're connected to our full potential and using our hearts and minds to create a reality that's truly aligned with our highest aspirations.
It's definitely a vision that inspires me. and he offers some intriguing insights into how we might achieve this collective coherence. He delves into the science of light and frequency, suggesting that we are, quite literally, beings of light, each radiating a unique electromagnetic field.
I remember him using that analogy of a radio dial, suggesting that we can tune our awareness to different frequencies, just like tuning a radio to a specific station. He believes that by tapping into these higher frequencies, we can access a level of information and energy that can transform our lives and even the world around us.
And he suggests that the more we focus on matter and the external world, the less we're able to perceive these subtler frequencies of light and information that exist beyond our senses. It's like we're limiting ourselves to a narrow band of reality when there's a whole spectrum of possibilities out there.
It's mind-blowing. It's like he's saying we're capable of so much more than we realize, but we're often blinded by our own limited perception.
Exactly. And this is where Dispenza's work gets really mind-bending. He suggests that by shifting our focus inward through meditation, we can actually expand our perception and tune into these higher frequencies, accessing a realm of information and energy that can influence matter and even create new realities.
Okay, I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. So he's saying that our focus, our attention, can literally shape reality. How does he explain that?
He talks about the difference between convergent focus, which is a narrow focus on a specific object or point, and divergent focus, which is an expansive awareness that takes in the whole field of energy and information. He suggests that by practicing divergent focus, we can expand our awareness and tap into the unified field, accessing a realm of infinite possibilities.
So it's about shifting from a limited, localized perception to a boundless, interconnected awareness. It sounds like a completely different way of experiencing the world.
It is, and Dispenza suggests that this shift in awareness can have a huge impact on our health and well-being. He dives deep into the science of how energy flows through our body, exploring the concept of energy centers, or brains, that govern the function of our organs and systems.
And when these energy centers get depleted or imbalanced, it can lead to disease, right?
Right, and that's where meditation and other energy practices come in. Dispenza suggests that by intentionally directing energy and awareness to these centers, we can create a state of coherence and balance, promoting healing and vitality.
I remember him talking about the work of Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who studied biophotons, those tiny particles of light emitted by all living things.
Yes, and what's fascinating is Popp's discovery that the more coherent these biophotons are, the healthier the organism is. Dispenza suggests that practices like meditation and heart coherence can actually enhance the coherence of our biophotons, promoting a state of optimal health and well-being.
It's like we're becoming more aligned with the fundamental energy of life itself.
Exactly. And this is where Dispenza's work challenges us to think about the interconnectedness of all things. He suggests that our individual energy fields aren't isolated, but rather part of a larger field of consciousness that connects us all. He even delves into the concept of morphic fields, proposed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake, which suggests that there are fields of information that connect members of a species, influencing their behavior and even their evolution.
It's a fascinating concept that suggests we're all part of a larger web of life, interconnected and influencing one another in ways we may not even be aware of.
And Dispenza suggests that by tapping into this interconnectedness, we can access a level of wisdom and guidance that transcends our individual understanding.
He even shares stories of individuals who have experienced profound healing and transformation by connecting to this collective consciousness, suggesting that we all have access to this infinite source of wisdom and healing power.
It's like we're all part of a giant interconnected mind, and by tapping into this collective consciousness, we can access information and energy that can transform our lives and even the world around us.
This is incredibly profound. It's like he's taking us on a journey from the individual level, our thoughts, our emotions, our energy, to this vast, interconnected web of consciousness that links us all.
And it all comes back to the question of what it truly means to become supernatural. Dispenza suggests that it's not about developing superhuman powers, but about accessing a level of awareness and consciousness that transcends our ordinary limitations.
It's about realizing our true potential as creative beings, capable of influencing reality with our thoughts, emotions, and intentions.
And it's about using this power responsibly, with compassion and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness with all of life.
We're talking about becoming supernatural, but not like, superpowers and stuff, more like accessing our full potential as humans. That's a really powerful idea, but it also feels like, wow, a huge responsibility.
Yeah, totally. Dispenza makes it clear that if we really can't influence reality with our thoughts and emotions, we got to use that power carefully. It's about aligning our intentions with love, with compassion, and with, the greater good.
Right. It can't just be all about what we want. It talks about becoming more loving and kind and
Mhm.
really connected to like the whole web of life.
And he keeps coming back to the heart's role in all of this. He even says that the heart's electromagnetic field is actually stronger than the brain's. So, like, intentionally choosing positive emotions, cultivating that heart coherence, could actually change the world around us.
That just blows my mind. Do you remember that story about Donna, the woman who could help souls cross over during meditation? That one really got to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That story really shows that deep interconnectedness that Dispenza keeps talking about. It suggests that, maybe we can tap into these levels of compassion and healing that go way beyond just our individual lives.
Makes you wonder what we might experience if we really open ourselves up to those possibilities. Dispenza also shares some of his own personal stories, right? Like that one about the woman in his backyard who seemed to like activate something within him.
Yeah, those stories might sound pretty out there, but he uses them to show us the potential that's within all of us. It's about going beyond our everyday limits and accessing a level of consciousness that's way bigger than we usually imagine.
It's a good reminder that we're not just, physical bodies, but spiritual beings having this human experience. And Dispenser really wants us to embrace that truth and see what we're capable of. The potential for connection, healing, and transformation, it's all there.
He doesn't just leave us hanging with these big ideas, though. He gives us tools and techniques to, actually help us on this journey. Specific meditations, visualizations, even breathing exercises. But he also emphasizes surrender, like trusting a higher power, letting the universe do its thing.
That makes sense. It's about taking action, but also, like, letting go of the need to control everything. Seems like a tricky balance.
It is, and it's not always easy. But the journey itself, with all the ups and downs, that seems to be a big part of what Dispenza is pointing us towards.
This deep dive has been, wow, really thought-provoking. We went from the science of brain plasticity to the pineal gland, from mind movies to the power of heart coherence. It's a lot. It's really made me rethink my ideas about reality and what's actually possible.
Me too. Dispenza's work makes us ask some pretty big questions. If we really can become supernatural, what does that mean for you? Have you ever noticed a link between your thoughts, your emotions, and how you feel physically? What could open up for you if you embrace the things we talked about today?
Those are some great questions to think about. We covered a lot, but I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we have way more power than we realize to shape our lives, to shape our reality. It's a reminder to pay attention to our thoughts and emotions, to work on that heart coherence, and to just keep exploring what we're truly capable of.
I love that. And remember, like Dispenza says, this journey isn't just about us as individuals. It's about creating a more conscious, more compassionate, more connected world.
So to everyone listening, we encourage you to think about what resonated with you today. Maybe try out one of the techniques we talked about. See what happens when you step into the unknown. The adventure's out there waiting for you.